Hey, it's Rob. Welcome to Everyday Investor, the hottest investment show in the world. That's right, I said it. I don't care who knows it. We all want more time to spend with family and friends. We want time to engage in a purpose greater than ourselves, have some sort of meaning in life. The challenge is we spend most of our time working to make money in order to live. Let me say that again. We spend our precious time working to make money in order to live. Imagine a life where money could make you money to live in order that we could work less and have more time for the things that matter most. Well, you can. Learn how from everyday people who are making this a reality. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Coming up, Scott McGillivray teaches us how our money can make us money investing in income properties.
Well, the magic of sort of the short-term and vacation rental business is that you can still make money with 60% occupancy. You know, vacation property is perfect for that because chances are you're probably only spending 10 or 15% of your time there and the place is sitting empty 90% of the time. You might as well be making money on it while it's sitting empty.
Everyday Investor is brought to you by ProFunds Mortgages, fixed returns, real security. Clover Properties Rent to Own, invest with a purpose. Sam McDaddy Real Estate, full service brokerage for all your buying, selling, and investing needs.
Hey, it's Rav. Welcome back to Everyday Investor. Today we're going to be talking about how we can make money investing in income properties. Remember, when anyone offers you any type of investment property, you want to ask the 4 questions to start. Number 1, what's the return on investment? Number 2, when do I get that return along with the money that I put in? Number 3, what's the minimum investment amount needed? And number 4, what is the risk in the worst case scenario? I'm super excited today because I've got my good friend Scott McGillivray on the show. Scott, thanks so much for being here.
Good to see you, Rav.
I know we always have that battle, and I think in this case, I might have fibbed to my viewers saying that this is the hottest.
This is the best show about real estate?
Yes.
So you're still lying to people?
Yes.
That's nice.
Well, you know, I just, I never want to upstage my friend, but seriously, I'm very grateful.
It is a great show.
That you're here. You're so busy, a wonderful wife and kids and enjoying a family life, but you know, teaching people how to make money in real estate. I know it's one of your greatest passions. So on that note, what have you been doing? You know, you have different shows going on. I think even a new one.
Trying to balance things, you know, following the Pareto principle, which is, you know, 20% of my efforts here for 80% of the returns.
Results,
so
yes.
I'm putting, you know, some good time into my investing portfolio. I'm putting about 20% of my time into my real estate training and about 20% of my time into new TV shows as well, which gives me 60% of my time to be like a full-time dad, right?
No, it's awesome.
Which I love to do.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you talk about the Pareto principle because, you know, the more success that you have, the more opportunities come your way. And I think the secret is, you know, to be able to say no to really, really good opportunities for the sake of those 1 or 2 things that bring you the most results.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's really helped me balance my energy and my outputs, you know, finding, you know, sort of cutting myself off saying, I don't want to spend 100% of my time doing all of this because I'm missing out on some of the amazing things that are happening over here. But you also have to say no to like 80% of the things that come your way at the same time.
And you're saying no to really good people who don't understand why you're saying no because everybody's different, right?
Which reminds me, I can't actually be here.
Yes, you gotta go. Yeah. That's it. We're done. End the show. So tell me about this because you have a new show that's kind of coming. So we've done income property, and that's the subject matter today. You're going to teach us a little bit on how we can make money investing in income property, whether it's our principal residence or it's just something that we turn a single family into an up and down.
Absolutely.
Right? So you did income property, and then there was Buyer's Boot Camp. Loved it.
Buyer's Boot Camp was all about flipping. A bit of a different strategy to show people, but that was a lot of fun.
Yes.
But a lot of work.
Yes.
Holy smokes.
And then you weren't local even. You were in the States. You were doing things all over the place.
We kind of did that all over North America.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to watch. Of course, as we mentioned, moving the McGillivrays, and then obviously with all the other, you know, HGTV celebs. How come I wasn't invited? But you did all those other shows, right? They're like
maybe we'll bring you on the new show that we're doing.
Talent shows, or not talent shows, but what were those shows when 4 of you would like?
Oh yeah, Canada's Handyman Challenge.
Handyman Challenge.
Yep.
All that. I know why I'm not on that show.
I've seen your work.
Yes, you have.
It's best you just don't come.
I just outsource it all. Yes,
Yeah.
I must. So what is this new one?
So the new show is going to be, Scott's Vacation House Rules. Basically, we're looking at
Scott's Vacation House Rules.
Vacation House Rules. It's
Okay.
kind of just, it's an upgrade from income property. We're really looking at what are the modern opportunities that are available for investors with assets they may already have, like a home or a cottage or vacation property. Or if you want to get a vacation home, here's a way that you can buy one, make money, and enjoy it. Yeah. So just always trying to show people what's realistic, how to balance the idea of having these bigger properties or a home, but also make it affordable.
Yeah. So the idea is you create this. I know you're a firm believer and always have taught me, buy low, that's where you make a lot of your money, if not most, is on the purchase. So we buy these, we renovate them, we fix them up, and then we rent them out periodically, and then I also get to enjoy it myself. Is that the whole kind of concept?
Well, the magic of sort of the short-term and vacation rental business is that you can still make money with 60% occupancy. So you still have access 40% of the time, and you can still make money. And a vacation property is perfect for that because chances are you're probably only spending 10 or 15% of your time there, and the place is sitting empty 90% of the time. You might as well be making money on it while it's sitting empty. And there's a way to do it that's effective, that mitigates risk, and follow the process, obviously, right? It's not easy, but it is simple if you follow these steps. And so this show is all about guiding people and getting them over that sort of fear factor of, here's how you do it. Here's how you get the property. Here's how you get the money coming in. And some people are making a killing, which is great. I love it when people make money, especially when you're renting by the week. Oh my gosh, the amount of money these people are making.
No, but I think it's fantastic. I mean, I've never seen a show like that, right? To be able to teach how to do it and to enjoy it at the same time. I think it's great. So we met way back. I don't even know, maybe 15 years ago. I don't know.
Almost 15 years ago. It was one of the first episodes of Income Property.
One of the first episodes, and that was when Rav was back in the when I was back into the real estate buying, selling, appraising days, and I came on for a few minutes at the end and appraised now what this rental would have been and what you could charge for rent. And so we met then, and I said, hey, can you come on? I don't know what it was called back then. We've changed the name so many times in 15 years. Yeah. This show. Yeah. And it's been wonderful. I thank you for that relationship. I've learned a lot from you. It was great working with Keyspire and doing some speaking, and perhaps we'll still do that, your education company.
You've got a lot of great concepts, and it's always good to come here and bounce these ideas back and forth off of each other. And today I want to go through some examples of buy and hold and kind of reinforce the long-term investing strategies that we've been talking about. It's been 20 years now since I bought my first property, which seems crazy. It feels like yesterday. But I still have it. I still have my first property.
The very first one.
The very first one.
Is that the one? And I think people need to know this because, they look at you and people look at real estate in general and they think, oh, it's speculative, it's gambling, it's risk. You're actually one of the most conservative guys I know.
Oh, yeah.
Is this the property where you lived in the basement for 8 years?
I lived in the basement.
I want you to hear that. Scott McGillivray, in his first purchase, lived in the basement for 8 years while you rented out the top. And then many years later, you had a show called Income Property. Yeah. Is that amazing?
It was,
a bit of a prophecy.
Who really knew? But, I was struggling in university financially. And, after having conversations with realtors who were trying to help me get rentals, I realized that the numbers actually work better if I own, which seemed unrealistic. And everyone told me I was crazy. I still remember, my mom's like, you don't even have a girlfriend. How can you have a house? And
get your priorities straight.
Get your priorities straight.
Yes.
But I used my student loan, which is pretty unconventional, all things considered, but that's the only money I had access to, and it just made more sense. I was using my student loan to pay rent, and that money was just going nowhere, so instead I used a portion of my student loan as a down payment on a primary residence, and I rented out all the other rooms, so I lived there for free, so it was better than paying rent. And then I started to investigate a little more, and I was like, oh, you could do this with more properties. I was able to refinance the first one after I graduated and got a job, used that equity to buy 2 more properties.
But still stayed there.
Still stayed there. I lived in that house until I was 28, 29 years old.
Yeah.
I actually lived there till I had the house paid off. I decided I wanted to pay off my first house. That was one of my goals. Not because it was a good investing strategy, but because it was a very good, like, yes, I did it strategy for me. I remember paying off my first mortgage and having it discharged, and I was like, this is great. Look at me. I'm going to be mortgage free. And before I even left the bank, they said, would you like to put a line of credit in place on this house before you leave today? I'm like, oh my gosh, they're giving me all the money back.
Free money.
They gave it all back.
Yes.
I went in and paid off like an $80,000 mortgage and walked out with like a $270,000 line of credit. I didn't even get to put the lions on my driveway. I already had a loan again, right? So.
No, it's great, Scott. It's very inspiring, and I think that people need to know that part of you. That real estate investing in generally should be boring.
It should be boring.
Knowledge mitigates risk.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. If it gets too sexy, be careful, right? And,
well, there's a couple factors I want to talk to you about today that people don't look at because they're not as exciting and thrilling, but they are the foundation of real estate investing.
Okay, well, let's take a quick break, and we'll talk about that. When we come back, I'm talking to my good friend Scott McGillivray, and we're learning how to make money investing in income properties. We will talk about that when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
Everyday Investor is brought to you by ProFunds Mortgages, fixed returns, real security. Clover Properties Rent to Own, invest with a purpose. Sam McDaddy Real Estate, full service brokerage for all your buying, selling, and investing needs.
Hey, it's Rob. Welcome back. We're talking to my good friend Scott. We're learning how to make money investing in income properties. Scott, that word income properties, I mean, on the show, we mostly were very specific, and it was, homeowners that were trying to kind of create more income.
Generate income from their primary residence.
Yes.
Which is sort of the first stepping stone in becoming a real estate investor for people that kind of want to ease into it.
Yeah.
I always say, look at the house you already have. Let's see if we can make some money from that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a small upgrade, maybe putting in a basement apartment. There's lots of smaller things you can do that are what I consider low risk because you're going to add value to your home by doing the improvements.
Yeah.
And you're potentially creating an income opportunity.
And I think that's the key, what you just said. You're adding value to your home because a lot of people think, okay, but do I really want to spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 creating this suite? And my rent, might take me a few years even just to break even, but that's not the point. The point is you're increasing the value, and then, you could refinance. There's many different things that you can do. So it's both you're creating income, but you're increasing the value.
Yeah, there's many ways you can look at it. Back in the day, we used to say, can you pay off the renovation within 2 to 4 years? But that was, when housing prices were much cheaper 20 years ago. The real key indicator, if you're going to do improvements to your house to generate income, is the income that you're going to generate enough to cover the cost of financing the renovation to do the work. And if you have extra money above and beyond, then you're profiting, right? Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I like it. So say it again. So let's just take a number for the renovation cost. What would you say?
Let's say $50,000.
$50,000.
You're going to put $50,000 invested in improvements in your house, which hopefully will increase your house by $50,000. So it's
minimum.
a wash, right?
Yes.
However, if you have to borrow that $50,000 and you're paying a reasonable interest rate on it, let's say that $50,000 costs you $200 a month.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
If it's creating a space that you rent out for $1,000 a month, that $1,000 is covering the $200, which is the cost of financing, and you're making a profit of $800 on somebody else's money.
Yes.
It's
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you do
Why
this?
wouldn't you borrow someone else's money to make money on it?
As long as we're not out of pocket. As long as things are covering, and not only not out of pocket, but significant cash flow.
Cash flow, which kind of brings us to probably the most important metric in all of real estate investing that almost nobody looks at and nobody talks about. If you have positive cash flow on your property, it's a real asset. Getting more of them increases the value of your portfolio, increases your cash flow. If you're losing money on a house, how many of them do you have to have before you go broke?
Sure.
It doesn't make sense.
Sure. Okay, teach us how to make some cash flow. We've got a case study here.
A case study. So
this is a real live example.
This is a real live example. There is a bit of there's a bit of a side note I'm going to put on here and tell you that this is a property that it is buy and hold. However, it was recently sold, which is why I brought it back up again. It's a property that I had for 5 years. But the metric that I think if you really want to be safe with your real estate investing, because people try to find ways to mitigate risk, I look at the metrics over time. And housing prices, we know, go up and down all the way up. I think you're saying is they're like a yo-yo on an escalator.
Up and down, upwards. Yes.
Up and down all the way up, right. So if you're investing based on housing prices alone, you're not always going to win. You're a speculator, right?
Yeah.
You may actually end up buying here and then having to sell here. So I look for the metrics that don't do this, and the metric that I really love is rental rates. If you look at rental rates over the last 75 years, they are almost a perfect line. And it doesn't go up fast, but it's stable, which is key.
Yeah.
Annually, rental rates go up every year. During a recession, during wars, rental rates continue to go up, even if it's by like 0.1%. The key is they're not going down. So if you base your investing, which is your cash flow, satisfying a cash flow model based on rental rates, you are basically putting yourself in the most secure, stable investing strategy possible and mitigating as much risk. Because I don't like taking risks. I don't want this to be my profit model. I want my profit model to be based on this. Mm-hmm. So rental rates, we know, are fairly consistent. So if you have enough rental income coming in to cover all of your expenses, including the cost of financing, then you're getting positive cash flow.
Doesn't matter what's happening in the economy.
Doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah.
Property value goes down, who cares? Wait, you're still getting paid. You got positive cash flow.
Yeah.
So here's a property that perfectly satisfies this. It actually shows, what I like about this example as well, is it shows you how over time there are more ways than just cash flow to make money on this property, because my wife and I actually just recently sold this property for $800,000, and you can see we bought it 5 years ago for $420,000.
$420,000.
So
and doubled it in 5 years.
Well, almost, but you have to also take into consideration there were some expenses put in there, but there's lots of cash flow. I mean,
so what was the down payment on that?
Down payment $84,000.
$84,000, and then
some
closing costs.
Yeah, there was some closing costs. $15,000 I put there. There was some extra costs at the front end of this, plus some renovation costs.
What was the renovation cost?
$40,000.
$40,000. Okay.
So you got a total investment of almost $140,000.
$140,000
out of pocket.
Yeah.
Just to secure the property with a line of credit as well for the balance.
Okay. And so let's look at the cash flow. So this, now when you were done, so what was this? It was a
single family 4-bedroom bungalow.
Single family 4-bedroom bungalow.
Yeah.
Basement was
partially finished. There was a bathroom, a rec room, and a kitchenette, but it was just all open space and a laundry room down there.
Okay.
So we were able to subdivide more bedrooms down there, right? And we created a 2-suite property.
So it's two suite. Now you've turned the single family into a duplex, like
you got it.
An up and down.
You got it.
And were single families in both, or
no? Student rental.
In both.
In both.
So how many bedrooms total?
7.
7. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to hear what the cash flow is then.
It was pretty insane. This thing was bringing in over $20,000 a year in positive cash flow.
$20,000. So after all expenses.
After all expenses.
And these 7 wonderful people pay you rent.
Yeah.
You were left with over $1,700 a month cash flow.
$1,700 a month cash flow.
$20,000 a year. And I've said this before. The average Canadian salary is $50,000. I mean, if you had 2 of these.
Yeah. You're pretty much 2 of these. And I mean, the amount of work you put into this, once it's done and up and running, you're putting in maybe 2 hours a week, tops on a property like this.
Okay. So what are the other ways? So the cash flow, I like what you said there. You focus on cash flow because it doesn't matter what's happening in the economy. It doesn't matter what the headlines are saying.
Yeah.
This is always coming in.
Yeah, so this property started to go up in value, not only because of the improvements that we made, but because the market itself was going up.
Okay.
And then honestly, it probably was worth more than we sold it for a year and a half, 2 years ago.
So you're just a charity. You're just give houses
No,
away.
no, I'm not giving it away. I'm just saying, like, we didn't even sell this thing at its peak.
Oh, at its peak, got it. Okay.
I probably could have got an extra $100,000 for this house had I sold it 2 years ago, but nobody knew that the market was going to turn at that point.
Course.
So we still did well, and that's why I'm saying real estate values go up and down all the way up.
Yeah.
Even though we bought it here,
Yeah.
it went up and came down a little bit. The difference between what we bought it for and what we sold it
I
for
would say you did
was
well.
still almost $400,000.
So it naturally just goes up. What percent would you use when we're looking at the natural appreciation?
Well, this property was going up by, I'd say, at least 10% a year.
So what was that? What did it go up? This is the first year?
This would have been in an annualized basis. You're
Yeah.
basically looking at between the cash flow from 1 year, the amount of the debt that was the principal balance being repaid or the mortgage being paid down by the rent coming in was about $10,000.
Yeah.
The passive appreciation on that first year was probably around $42,000. I just did 10%.
Okay.
And then we actively forced another $75,000 of value into there. So if you look at how much it went up and how much we made on cash flow versus how much we invested in the first year, you got over 100% return on your investment.
Over 100% return. You're about your profit is basically $150,000, and we said that you're in for like 140.
Yeah.
So, and then if we take out the force, because next year, it's still going to be 30%, 40%, whatever the case is.
Yeah, I mean, if you take this into consideration, everything on this property over the 5 years that we owned it, we were getting like a 50 to 60% return every year for those 5 years.
Amazing.
It's a great property. I mean, most people aren't getting 50, 60% returns on their money, so I'd say you're in a pretty good situation.
I'd say that. The thing that I don't like about this show is when time is up when we're having fun. I mean,
we just got started.
We just got started, Scott. And so you know what that means? And I'm very grateful that you do it every season, but it means you need to come back again.
Absolutely.
I love you, love your teaching, love that you love to help people do this. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate you as well, Rob. Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning in. Without you, we wouldn't have a show. For more information on this show or any others, or to become an Everyday Investor Insider, where you can get investment opportunities, tips, advice, go to everydayinvestor.com and sign up. Until next week, we'll see you same place, same time. Honey, I love you. I'll be home soon.